Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker-Hagan. I have my co-host.
And good evening, Dr. J.R. Thicklin, and what a great day to be here.
Absolutely. Tonight, our show is family and politics. Election time is November 8th. And, I make it my mission between the both of us to discuss politics and individuals that are running for government offices because I think it's so important to bring awareness to different candidates and what they're doing because they actually service our community. I like focusing on the core group, not just to expand, because a lot of people only want to vote for the president and the vice president. They're not concerned about the sitting and the governor and the commissioners, where that's who actually commands and controls the money that flows through our community.
By all means, the local government is the very seat of power that most directly impact what happens in our everyday life. So we have to understand, like as you're saying, to being physically responsible for monies that come through, being responsible for making sure things get in the right places and that you get attention in the right areas is important. So when we neglect local politics, we're actually neglecting a very powerful voice inside of government. So I'm very much with you inside of that we must look at government on all levels and not just wait to the general election when we're electing presidents and not even when we're electing congressmen and those individuals. Local politics is where it starts.
Absolutely. Mayor Ken Thurston is a friend to the show. He's been on several
Yes.
times, and I know during the pandemic, I had different leaders from different communities come and talk to the people and let them know about the resources that were available in their area, because so many people have no idea about the money that's just sitting waiting for our public to tap into in their communities. But so many people don't know. They don't even know where their city hall is. They don't know about their local chambers. And I think that if we continue to talk about it and bring awareness to the functionality of the different commissioner seats and the mayor of each city, that we'll be wealthy, we'll be a wealthy community.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. One of the things that have happened is that they don't really teach civics in school anymore. So the thirst of
Right.
understanding how government work has diminished tremendously. But I do think that we cannot keep falling back on that excuse for not knowing and not getting involved. So I think that individuals, whether they be churches, leaders, schools, make it a field trip. Get down to some commission meeting, get down to some chamber meeting, get there so that you can understand what is happening, the process of how things take place, because that is how things are done. And who knows, you go and visit a few times, you might see where you could make a difference. So, I believe that we have to get involved. We have to teach our children to get involved. And that's even through volunteering, knocking on the door, helping with get out the vote campaign, understanding things like platforms and vision. All of those things are part of what makes it exciting, but it's also recognized the sacrifice that individuals make in order to serve their communities.
Yes, and Dr. J, early voting starts October 29th. October
Yeah.
29th starts early voting from the 29th to November 5th. The actual election is November 8th. So we are without excuse about why we're not getting down to those polls and vote. Doing early registration, you don't have to go and vote in your local area where you're
Right.
assigned to. You don't have to go to, like, I'm at the Environ Center. I don't have to go there to vote during early election. I could go to any poll in my area and go vote. So if those of you that moved and said, well, I don't know where I'm supposed to vote right now because I've moved, you don't have an excuse. You can go anywhere and vote during early voting. You won't have to contend with that.
Well, and that's one good thing to recognize too, because in fact, you could be across town, but doing early voting, you can actually make your way to whatever precinct is open. You just have your voter's registration card and you can vote right then. Uh, there have been some new changes in our election laws, but we still can make it effective if we go out and vote early. If you have a mail-in ballot, you send in that mail-in ballot and send it in time. And those are the things that really makes this all worth it.
Absolutely. We have one for a special guest. Her name is Commissioner Denise Grant. She's running for reelection. Good evening, Commissioner Grant. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're running for reelection. Could you tell our audience what city and seat you're running for?
Sure. I am running for reelection for City Commissioner of Lauderhill, and that's seat number 4. Elected in November of 2018, have served 4 years to this point, and so now I'm running again.
Awesome.
Awesome. Could you tell some of the things that you've done since you've had your seat?
Oh, sure. So I've accomplished a lot in the city of Lauderhill, but for sure there is more work to be done. Some of the things that I have done, and I can probably speak of more recently during the pandemic, I was able to mobilize about 72 volunteers for 2 years consecutively. Every Sunday, we would meet at John Mullins Park, and we would ensure that we fed our seniors. We understood that they were the most vulnerable population. And even though there were many food distribution centers out there, these seniors were not coming out. So I made sure that we were able to mobilize these volunteers and we would bring the food to them specifically. And so as a result of that, we were able to feed 15,000 seniors. And so that was a great deal. In addition to that, a lot of our small to medium-sized businesses were not getting access to capital. And even though many of those businesses were banking with institution for years, 10, 15, 20 years, but of course, a lot of these banking institutions were geared and more focused on the larger businesses. Got a lot of that complaint in our city. And so I worked with the Florida Bankers Association, where we had 30 banks that built in infrastructure within their banks specifically for the city of Lauderhill. We were able to help 2,500 businesses from the collectively with the PPP first. Of course, there were 2 sets of PPP. And then in addition to that, we had access to capital to $30 million. And so that was something that I was very proud of. We also were able to help a lot of our churches as well. We know for sure that, yes, is a place of refuge, but churches are also a business. And a lot of our churches were also suffering. So those non-for-profit organizations did also get access to capital. So it was something I was extremely proud of. But even with that, since I've been on the commission since 2018, I've been able to create programs that have been effective to our community. Programs like Tea Time with Seniors, which is an education and resource program for our seniors. Youth Alive program, where I go into the various schools, in particular, Lauderhill 6 through 12, getting these kids during the middle school to high school, bringing in mentors, persons even that were raised in the city of Lauderhill, have done successful work and came back to be able to empower these children. One of the things we've learned with these kids is oftentimes they don't know their purpose. It's very difficult for them to identify who they are. And as a result of that, they are now getting into things that they should not. So we want to empower these kids, inspire them, and that's what Youth Alive is about. Unity in the Community is also a program that I advanced, and that was to be able to bridge and strengthen the relationship between law enforcement and the community, especially our young people. And so that particular program, we go into certain areas of Lauderhill that just need a little bit more love, that's a little bit more challenging. We identify them on a monthly basis, and we bring fire, police, code enforcement, and leadership, meaning commissioners, our city manager, to be able to interface with the community. We knock on about 70 to 100 doors every month to be able to do that. And there's been tons of other things that I have advanced in the city. But one of the things I will say is all of these programs, of course, would not be successful if we weren't able to work collectively on the commission. Many of these programs have, of course, had to be voted upon. And so my colleagues as well believed in these programs, believed that they were effective and that we can reach the community where they're at. And as a result of that, I was able to move forward in that direction. I know I've said a lot.
Well, that's an impressive list of accomplishments, and it's
And
good
that's
that
just a few.
Just a
it's good
few.
that you're able to do so, because the fact
Yes.
it lets me know that you were focused, you was intentional, and you was deliberate. And the fact that
Yes.
you've been there since 2018, it sounds like you did not get blinded by the new claim fame of being in a elected official seat, but you rolled up your sleeve and you started working, you provided vision, and with what you just shared, you actually hit so many different aspects of our community. I mean, everything from the seniors to understanding that, and to me, that's both an emotional and yet it's still a humanitarian cry to understand that here are some seniors that are suffering. They're not coming out to some of the other food banks, so we have to go to them. I thought that was a very important type of thing to do. And then the whole process of reaching out to our kids and reaching out, doing programs. Once again, providing a sense of hope by using people who have grown up in the same streets, on the same neighborhood, in the same city, and saying if they can do it, so can you. And I particularly love the part that you talked about the unity in the community, because we can choose to complain, we can choose to do a lot of things, but when we start to really put forth effort to bridge the gap and improve the relationship with community and law enforcement, that's when we're making progress. Because at the end of the day, nobody's talking this foolishness. We know we need law enforcement. We need them, because I'm telling you right now, if something happened to me, I'm not calling nobody but law enforcement, 911. And I think those are the type of efforts that people can see happening on the ground, things that can be improved and things that can be, if you would, sustained over a period of time. So I definitely applaud you inside of the things that you've done in your first term.
Thank you very much. I
Commissioner
consider, so go ahead, Dr. Val.
Commissioner Grant, you're also a mother and you entrepreneur. Can you share with the community who you are as a mother and the accomplishments that you've made in your business aspirations?
Absolutely. The most important thing to me is being a mother to my 15-year-old son, Joshua.
Your date. Every
That's
time I have an event, she brings her date. It's her son.
it,
I have
it,
a
it-
Joshua too, so you know I
you have
like that, right?
and trust me, he acts like a Joshua. So oftentimes my eyes have to be on him. That's why he's with me all the time. But one of the things is, for me, this position is not a job. I consider it to be an assignment. And
Love
I
it.
believe it is a part of my purpose. I'm not saying it's the ultimate, but
Yes.
definitely it is a part of my purpose. I'm here to serve and to serve God's people, if we can actually say that. And so this is in one way to do that. But in doing so, I believe that if we're going to, because I know you are a church woman as well, Dr. Val, in
Amen.
in doing so,
And you can tell that Dr. J,
oh
he's a
yeah, he
preacher
when
too.
he talks, it sounds like he's about to go preach.
Do a sermon.
Just a little bit. But I wanted to ensure that my, as we would say, our first ministry is home.
Yes.
And so if you can't take care of home, that's my first commission. And so never want to be able to do anything that he can turn around and say that I neglected him in the process.
Mhm.
So I have included him in this particular vision that God has given to me. So we work together, and he is 15 now, so it's a different child than he
Wow.
Yes.
was. And so I am relearning him, and it takes a little bit of time, but nonetheless, he is very important to me, and I want to also make sure that the things that are important to him, that I'm there to support as well and to nurture. It is a little bit harder as well when you're a single parent, so that is my situation, but I don't use it as something that has immobilized me, because I know that I'm equipped to do all things. And the things that once I stay in my lane and I'm not doing everything else, I'm focused on what I'm called to do. So that's important to me. Yes, I am a mother. My son is 15, as mentioned. His name is Joshua, and he plays soccer. He started out in Lauderhill Lions at the age of 7, and has done extremely well because of the coaches. And it really speaks to the quality of the city of Lauderhill
The
as well,
community.
and the quality in the community. And so he's done extremely well in the city of Lauderhill, to the point where he was recruited by Inter Miami David Beckham. So that's where he is right now. He
Wow.
plays and goes to school there at the academy. So he's just one step away from the pro. So we're trying very hard. If that's what he wants to do, then we're trying very hard to support him in those endeavors. So that's Joshua. I also am a business development director at a law firm downtown Fort Lauderdale. And
Mhm.
so I've been doing that for many years as well. And so the balance, of course, trying to manage sometimes presents some challenges, but I believe that I've been able to somehow master it because I understand that this for me, community is most important. But at the same token, I do have to, as they would say, it's kind of your job is the other job is the bread and the butter. So you have to manage it in some respects
Right.
and be realistic about it. So that is what I'm doing. But I love serving. I just love it. I don't consider it to be a job, a hassle, frustration, anything like that. I'm very accessible to my constituents because I understand the need. I came from humble beginnings, especially with my mother. She grew up in Jamaica where she had dirt floor. But she said when she swept that floor, it looked as if it was wood because it was so shine and clean. And so I understand when people feel broken, when people are impoverished, and when people feel disenfranchised. And it's very dear to my heart. And as a result of that, I will continue to serve with that in mind.
Mm. How can
Well,
individuals connect with you, Commissioner Grant, to serve you during this campaign process or to help you continue on your journey as you serve the community?
Thank you so much for asking that. Just a telephone call away. I would appreciate it. Most importantly, the vote is what matters, right? So I do ask, of course, for your vote. But in all things, you guys said something that was very pointed in the beginning. You have to do your research. You have to know who these candidates are. You have to know who your local elected officials are. Just don't vote simply because of name recognition. Do your diligence and understand where, because some people can, for 4 years, you can't fool the people all the time, right?
right.
You have to, there has to be a point when they say, okay, this is this person, this is the character. So I am asking for your votes, and hopefully you believe that I have done a good job in the city of Lauderhill, but there's more to accomplish. Would love the opportunity again to work with my colleagues in moving the city forward. I can be reached at 954-504-5193. And again, that number is 954-504-5193. And that phone is very close to me, as it should be in this hour. So that's the best way to reach me at this time.
And
Yeah.
I want to say to those that take down that number, that is to lend your hand of support.
Thank you.
That is just not to use because she is a businesswoman. She is the commissioner right now for the city of Lauderhill, and we want to re-elect her. And also, any donations you want to give to support her so she can continue on her journey would be greatly appreciated.
Thank
And you can also look her up. You Google her
you.
and you can see the work she's done. And if you like that, share it with a family member. And if you don't live in Lauderhill and you know someone that does, send them this taping so that you can know more about Commissioner Denise Grant.
Thank you so much, Dr. Val. I have known you for some time as well. I've always considered you to be such a strong leader, and even at some point, a mentor as well. I used to bug you a little bit. Remember,
Yeah, that was
what was it
okay.
back in
No,
20?
that was okay because iron sharpens iron, and we need to empower one another so that we can get to the next level. Because we can always do more, but we can do it when we have other individuals holding our hands up.
So thank you for the work that you do as well in the community. And Dr. Thicklin, thank you so much for having me on. I do appreciate it, and I will be looking you up as well, sir. And so,
Well, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
stay
You're going to
connected.
make me want to change my zip code, my area code. Listen, that type of proactivist, and I mean, you just doing it. And I especially enjoyed your story when you talked about the importance of your balance with your son Joshua. And I'm a little favorite there. I have a son named Joshua as
Yes.
well. And and I know how important it is. And I think that if someone is watching this for the first time, and they're not watching you sitting in the dais, they're not watching that. I think that they would get from what they've heard today. Here's a person who is connected to the community and she has a passion. And that's what I'm moved by. So I'm thinking here now, all the people I know that lives in Lauderhill or whatever, and I need to be able to get to them and say, hey, make sure you get out to vote because I heard and then I've seen your passion and that which you've accomplished, and definitely you're in my prayers, and that that you're elected for another term, and that you continue to walk in the footsteps that God has ordered for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Commissioner Denise Grant.
Thank you.
Dr. J, she's extraordinary. I've known her for many years, and I've appreciated her friendship, and it's good to know people that you can pick up the phone and call. When we needed to talk to some police officers when they were talking about defund the police, I
Craziest
called
thing I ever heard.
Commissioner Grant and I said, I need to have representation to talk to the community. And she shot me a number, called the chief of police, and she sent one of her detectives on our show, and it was just such a blessing. And like Mayor Thurston, all I have to do is pick up the phone and call and say, I need this, or can you help me with this, and where's some money so that I can do what I do in the community by serving, because we can all do more. We can all give more. Everybody wants to point the finger and say what somebody isn't doing, but how about applaud those people that are actually doing the work and want to do the work, don't mind doing the work, because as Commissioner Grant said, this was part of her purpose.
Absolutely, and it showed. I mean, you saw passion, you saw a steady hand. It was refreshing, right? It was refreshing seeing that from I almost hate to call her a politician because the authenticity of her speech or of her message is so relatable, and so definitely, I applaud her, and definitely I want to encourage anyone that's there in the city of Lauderhill in that vicinity. If you vote there, please consider voting for Commissioner Grant.
Yes, we have another guest that will be joining us. Sabrina Butler is running for a commissioner seat.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you? Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're running for a commissioner seat. Can you tell us more about that office you're running for?
Yes, I'm running for District 2, Broward County Commission. And that seat, that district covers Coral Springs, Coconut Creek, Margate, some of Pompano Beach, and
Wow.
Deerfield Beach. So it covers a nice area there.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to serving.
Okay, what made you want to run for this office?
Okay, as a real estate broker, I own two real estate businesses, the Eagle Real Estate and Financial Services and the Butler Group Real Estate Brokerage. And I found it very difficult to serve my community with housing, helping them to find their dream. And all of a sudden, with this pandemic and everything happening, people were getting notices within 30 days, you have to move. Rent's going up $500. So they're coming to me, where can I go? Can you find me something? So we're looking and looking. And I ended up having to tell hardworking people, listen, you might have to start roommating with each other. I would find someone from the school system, because I'm an educator also, working as an administrative assistant. She had to a room with someone who may be working in the cafeteria. Teachers are coming to me saying, I'm going to have to move out of the state, not only the city, the state. I cannot afford to live where I work, right here in Broward County. So I felt like, I found myself saying, we're going to have to talk to someone. We're going to have to talk to someone in politics and government to see what we can do. And then I woke up one morning and said, I guess I'm going to have to be that person,
Yes.
to help. So I have a passion to help those who are looking for home ownership, and even those who are comfortable renting, but not put in a dire situation. Whereas really, here. They didn't get married. Okay. They didn't get another job. They didn't get a job paying twice as much overnight. So how
Right.
is it that the rent or the living expenses can go up almost, twice their income? It didn't make sense to me. So I wanted to be in a position where I can help make sensible decisions so that we can live here in our community and
Okay,
thrive.
now you're a business owner too. Can you talk about that and why you feel that this would be a total package for you to serve the community?
Again, as I said, as a real estate broker, and I also am an accountant. I was an accountant with the Broward County Sheriff's Department. And I feel as though being in that position, I can make decisions that can help move funds, reappropriate funds to help the community. Broward County is sitting on land that they're not using. There are resources that we're not really using that can be put in a position, whereas like there's a project going on in Miami where um, the developers would pay less for the land because it was practically given to them so that they can build nice, classy homes, not a project, homes that working class people can move in at a reasonable rate.
So
Awesome.
you would say that definitely your background of dealing with people, and I do like that approach when you talk about where people live.
Yeah,
This is definitely a priority issue, not only in
yes,
Broward County but the entire country, but this state.
yes,
And one of the things that is happening, you're right. I know that I've spoken to different individuals. How can they justify just skyrocketing rent like they do, especially when most people, when they apply and they qualify based
yes,
upon their income, right? So we
yes,
know that. So who went back and took another application before they just skyrocketed rent? So it makes no sense. So I think that's a lack of accountability. But I think I
yes,
heard you say something that was very important. You said when you start talking about resources that are there that might not be tapped into, or things that need to be reallocated. One thing I
yes,
do know that there are many areas that did not do all that they could do or make the best decision with some of this America Rescue Plan money.
yes,
I remember being on many meetings here in my county where we made sure that we talked to the elected officials and everyone coming in and said, listen, we don't need a bunch of brand new police cars, a bunch of new this, that, and other, to
yes,
say, hey, we spent money. We needed things that really reach people where they are hurting, where they
yes,
needed, where they needed assistance. So I do think having a leader who sit in office to be able to be somewhat of a brainchild to say, listen, no, we got to make this work, and we need to
yes,
meet people where they're hurting the most. So I definitely applaud you
yes, yes,
inside of
yes,
that.
to make it make sense. Yes. And
Now,
so, thank you.
now, Sabrina, you're also a mother, a wife,
Yes.
and you have these businesses, and you're running for this commissioner seat. How does it all come together?
Well, I would just like to, thank God for the beautiful children He's given me. I have actually raised 8 kids. Um, I have 6 boys and 2 girls. Right now, one was a professional football player. He's now broadcasting for the NFL matchup.
Okay.
My daughter, she's a business owner and an actress. She graduated from I have 5 graduates and someone still working on it. College graduates. I have a sergeant at the BSO. I have an officer at Coral Springs Police Department. I have a young man, a son in the Air Force. So we are service people.
Mhm.
Um, I have a son in Georgia. He's the director of security in the hospital. And I have a college student. She's a chemistry major, and she's going to pursue her medical degree. So I've been busy making sure that I've raised them up in the way they should go. And I want them to stay with God. And with that said, He's blessed me to have them to support me even in the business, the Butler Group. That's why we started the Butler Group. I started with Eagle Real Estate and Financial Services, where I have about 12 agents that work with me. But the Butlers want to do something a little different. We want to work on more developing luxury investing. So we started the Butler Group. So 5 of my children support me heavily in that business. 3 are realtors, and Darius, he's our executive marketing person. And Darius Butler, he's the one that was the football player, NFL football player. Yes, you know the name. Yes. So we raised them in Coral Springs Charter School. And again, I also was an educator in the school system. So I've seen the kids come from babies all the way up. And so I see the community from kindergarten to
Right.
graduate.
Awesome. I think I get just a little biased myself because family means everything. And when you can look at the legacy of your children and, you've raised them, believe me, you are connected from the ground level. You understand the different challenges there because it's not easy getting kids up and going. I know I did 5, I did 5,
Yeah.
I did 5 of them, and and you know what it takes. Challenges that are there, and so when you're dealing with the community, you're not oblivious to things that people go through everyday
Yes.
working people, and that's where I think sometimes the disconnect happen inside of government when we elect people who doesn't seem to have any idea of how decisions affect everyday people.
Everyday people, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's one of the things that I think is so important. And I'm totally impressed. I always think that that's a very strong point to me when we look at people who have strong connection with their family. They understand the plight, and guess what? In many ways, they have lived it out. They have, they've gone through. They know what the challenges are, and they've done it. So it's kind of like, I might be new to this politic thing, but I'm definitely not new to family. I'm not new to business. I'm not new to those.
Yes,
Exactly.
not new to family. And my husband, he was a great supporter. He is a great supporter.
Awesome.
He also works for the Broward Sheriff's Department. Well,
Yes.
he did 30 years, and he's going back. So he was a lieutenant, but we've been in the trenches with the community,
Yes.
so we know what it's like for everybody in the community. We really have a heart and a passion to see the community thrive and not just survive.
And that's why I thought it was important for you to come and talk about who you are, because people see you on a billboard and have no idea who you are, the struggles you've had, the ambitions that you've accomplished, strive for and accomplished, and you've sold it into your children who are working in the community as well, serving. So your whole family has been serving. So you getting this commissioner seat will just be another level for you to spread it to the masses.
Thank you. Yes.
Absolutely.
So how can people support you and reach out to you to give that support?
They can support me by going to votesabrinabutler.com. There they can decide whether they want to volunteer their time to help me pass out materials. They can donate. I would love to have a commercial, but it's so expensive to do, media at that level. So they can definitely support me in that way so that I can get the message out. If they want to come out and help pass out materials, that's a support. So they can reach me through that website. And my number is 954-509-3799. I have 2 offices, one in Coral Springs off of Wilds Road and one in Lauderhill off of 50th, across from Banyan. So we're there also. And I just want to say also, we are starting an event space called the Living Room.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm the home type person. So it's a small place where if you just want to have a business meeting or a baby shower, bridal shower, small group, but you want that living room setting. So give us a call if you're interested in that, or just, buying real estate, investing, and insurance also.
Awesome.
She is a force to be reckoned with.
Awesome. I just love it. I love every bit of it because of the fact, there's a T-shirt that I love seeing people wear saying that I am the answer to my ancestors' dreams
Oh,
and my
yeah.
ancestors' prayers, and that's exactly, and that's really what leadership ends up becoming. That we become the answer to someone's prayers. Perhaps we answered our mothers and fathers and our grandparents' prayers, but in many ways, guess what? We will also be the answer to our children's prayers, and their success will be the answer to our prayers. So when we
Yeah.
have vision to be able to think generationally, it tends to lend itself to great leadership.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And one last thing I do want to add, I am a leader with my women's ministry at church, the Faith
Awesome.
Center. I have to put that out there because one of my passions also is mental health. And I believe that if we can get some funds to help faith-based initiatives on raising money to go into the community to help with mental health, that would be great because we have people who are suffering a little and they are being criminalized because they end up in the jail because going to jail, they get a free meal, they get mental health services there. And we're spending about $3,500 a month there when we could be putting some of that money into mental health. And we would not have some of the situations that we're having. And just for an example, I don't know if you were listening when they were interviewing the parents and the people that were on the case
On the
Stolen
park.
Dust.
for the cruise. And one of the things, one lady that stood out to me, one of the jurors said, well, I couldn't pick the death penalty because I felt our system failed him.
Hmm.
And it came back to me thinking, yes, the schools are we're trying to be the mental ward. And then you have the jails. And when she said that, I thought about that, that's probably what was going through their minds. So we got to do something about our mental health crisis.
Well,
I
I
am
totally.
so glad that you brought that up because, it's not being talked about. And because it's not being talked about, it's not being dealt with. And it is affecting almost every household. Every other household is being affected by mental illness. It didn't just start with the pandemic. It
No.
just it just elevated it even more so because people were confined into their homes and it had a chance to snowball into something that was almost out of control. So I'm so glad that if you get this commissioner seat, that will be an issue that you will address because it is needed in the community. If we don't address this issue, we will have more bodies on our hands.
Yes.
And I also want to commend you when you talked about the work there at your church with women ministry, and you talked about really faith and mental health. I do kind of lead a movement down here, up here in Palm Beach County with faith and mental health. It is one that is needed. And I do know your great pastor there at the Faith Center is not only innovative, he is open, he is progressive. And so it's a matter of really being able to connect the tools in the hands of a person such as that. Because I will tell you, there's a lot of things that are coming down now as it relates to mental health. And one thing they recognize that we must integrate the intersection between faith and mental health. And that's one of the things that we do on this end because it's absolutely important. Those that generally fight against it are those who don't understand it. So when we don't understand things, a lot of people, they fear it, they run away. But you're right. I saw what you saw as well. Because of the fact some people thought that perhaps these jurors was being too light. But the reality is that when we consider the fact of people's lives, the road that they travel, it does impact them. So one of the things that we have advocated for is what we call ACE, the ACEs score for our children growing up. What is their ACEs score? The adverse childhood experience. How do they score that? Because that gives us some type of indication of even their decisions and the things that they do. And we have to stop that early on. We have to be a part of it early on. And what better places than to have this implemented and understood? We have to add more to the school, not to the school teachers,
Yes.
but more counselors,
Yes.
more therapists inside of that. And then where's the next place where you're going to find them? You're going to find them in the churches. And for some pastors, it may take some convincing to really have a mental health or social service ministry. But for those who get it, they will recognize the fact this is absolutely important, because everything is not going to happen because we slap oil on your head and, and turn you around 3 times and say, going about your business. No,
Yeah.
something we're going to have to walk through, and we're going to have to counsel. There is safety in a multitude of counsel, and we have to be
Yes.
able to address that.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us on Hot Topics from the Soul. We have another guest in studio. So, Sabrina, would you please give your information and any final remarks, please, of how individuals can connect with you?
Okay, again, I am a write-in candidate for this particular election. And so you will actually have to write my name in on the ballot.
Okay.
Under Mark Bogan, then there will be a space and it will say write in. On that line, you write in Sabrina Butler, and it has to be spelled correctly, Sabrina Butler. And again, you can reach me at 954-509-3799. They will answer as Eagle Real Estate and Financial Services. That's me. You can go to votesabrina.com and you can see more information there. Okay. You can donate whatever you can, $5, $10, $15, anything can help. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for joining us, Sabrina. And
Absolutely.
see you at the polls.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
That is so amazing, and I'm so glad that we had a chance to talk with her to see the different arms that she has. Dealing with mental health and financial and empowerment to serve the community. She knows about what's going on in the community because she has children, and her husband serves. She serves, so they are not a stranger to what's happening in the city that they're living in. So, vote for Sabrina.com to connect with her. And I'm so glad that I know her, and she's a woman of an integrity, her and her husband. And that's why I wanted her on the show, so that people can get up close and personal to know more about who she is. Not just, like I said, seeing somebody on a poster and said, I wonder who that person is. Now you know who that person is that you can vote for. We have another person in studio. She'll be joining us. Sharon Thomas, how are you? You're muted. Hello?
Doing well. Good evening to you, Dr. Valerie and Dr. Thicklings. How are you?
Awesome. So glad you had the chance to join us. I know you have a very busy schedule. You're an entrepreneur and you serve the community as well. And I reached out to you and said, I want people to know who you are. Election is coming up. Early voting is October 29th. There's no excuse for individuals not to get to those polls and vote, vote, vote. So Sharon, can you tell the audience what seat you're running for in the city?
Yes, I'm in the city of Lauderdale Lakes, and I'm running for commissioner seat number 2. I have 2 opponents, and I am ready and running to serve as your servant leader in the city of Lauderdale Lakes.
So what made you run for this seat here?
Well, just like I heard, I was on when I listened to candidate Butler, and I've lived in the city of Lauderdale Lakes for 37 years, raised my children here, my 3 children, married. Maybe he wants to divorce me after 37 years, but I think he'll hold on to me a little bit longer. We have 3 beautiful grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl, which I'm living life over again through their eyes, which is an absolute wonderful
feeling.
But living in the city of Lauderdale Lakes for so long, I have seen growth. I have seen disconnection. I have seen our seniors grow and pass on. And I'm also seeing the diversity now coming back of millenniums coming into the city, a different grade of socioeconomics, but as well as the poverty level of those who within the city. So, how do we meet all of that at the table? Because it's one thing you can be at a certain level, but how do you reach across all board to affect the needs of those that need it? I'm a proponent of seniors. As I was growing up, it was the senior community I was around, listening to the wisdom and, engaged in conversation with them just to be around them. And so, when I I was a caregiver for my mom for almost 14 years, from her
Mm.
beginning stages of dementia to her passing this past January. And at that time, during the latter years of the dementia, I have always, from a little girl, wanted to open my own home to care for seniors. So during the time, I founded Sunrise, Sonrise, Sunrise Assisted Living and Health Foundation, Inc., where it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization where seniors have a home away from home, where they're supported, where they're loved, and where they're in an environment where they collaborate with one another in order to have their social, emotional, and spiritual well-being intact, as they thrive and age with dignity. So my mom allowed me to do that. I worked for the school board as a nurse for over 15 years. And then when she reached
Wow.
that stage, I left the school board in
Yeah.
order to care for her. So during the process of that, within my community, I'm always putting on the big pot. I don't know if you remember the big pot of soup or the big
Yes.
pot, grits and porridge, and have my children come on, take it down the street. Mom, again, it's like they're looking, where's ours? But always have that outreach for the
Yes.
community. And so it is nothing new now for Rising Up in order to help with policies for the community to bring resources in for those who are vulnerable, single mothers, seniors, as well as veterans that do need the assistance that is out there and can be received in. So when I told my family that I wanted to run for candidate for the Lauderdale Lakes, they said, here you go again. You're forever involved in the community. Now you want to extend yourself even more. My children are community minded as well. My
Mhm.
daughter, she's in the middle. My son, he's an arborist in the community. And my youngest son is still trying to bear himself as to where it is he wants to have his niche, but very articulate and entrepreneurial mind like his mom. But when I recognized that there was a need after mom passed, something started to rise in me. And I know and I feel her ancestral presence that are moving mountains in order for me to rise, to have that voice for those who need assistance, those who need care within the community. I also organize a virtual caregiver summit that I organized 3 years ago that's done yearly virtually, and it's coming up very shortly, where I recognize that those that care for those, whether it's children or seniors, need to be properly developed themselves. They
Mm.
need to care for themselves before they can truly care for others, because we get lost in the shuffle. So, in the midst of that, I come with impact and integrity, because I want to hold not only myself accountable, but those at the table accountable for excellence in whatever they do. I was on the boots on the ground day one, trying to get people that are registered to vote to sign my petition to petition the community to allow me to be on the ballot. And I accomplished that within 2 weeks, as well as I'm still out there canvassing, knocking on doors,
Mm,
hearing what the heart of the residents, but also to let them know that any growth of any community, the growth and progress of any community, it takes collaboration. It takes
absolutely.
interwoven of not
Absolutely.
only business, not only the residents and city hall. We have to be dedicated and loyal to our cities. So only are they looking for me to serve, but I'm also looking to them as well to be joined in the pot, get in,
Absolutely.
make their voice heard as well. So I am looking. I was the president for the Eastgate Homeowners Association for over 8 years. And they wanted me to run at that time. And I told them, no, it's not time. Family is important to me.
Mhm.
And so in indulging into my family and taking that president there, I am now ready to make that step into leadership as I've been doing. I'm a leader in my church as well, present there for over 27 years at the Faith Center. And
Okay.
I am honored, for this privilege to serve in this capacity, because servitude, it takes on all different form. You have to first serve within the dwelling
Yes.
of your home
Absolutely.
before you can go out and serve otherwise. I'm a candidate that will work hard. And bring others to the table, multicultural, multi-generation. I believe in that, in order to interweave all of that, because believe it or not, we have to set the foundation to pass the baton. And that's what I want to have: mentoring programs for those that want to go into public service, in
Mhm.
order to help them matriculate into how to come in with integrity, and not, they see so much all around them, but how can you make a difference, be the change you want to see happen? I'm also a hard worker, and I get the job done. I truly get the problem solver. I'm a member of the board on the Alzheimer's Foundation in the city as well. So
Awesome.
I am ready to work from day, let's say, your pedal to the metal to the pedal, and to
Mhm.
get the job done, because I recognize that there are needs here. There are needs that I have identified because I have seen it, but also want to see how I can come to the table to work along with the other candidates and the other commissioner to bring investors into the city for affordable housing. The poverty rate is so high. How do we
Very
work now? How do we work to get investors in? Not just for their benefits, but for yes, bring incentive, use incentive to get them in,
Yes.
but to have really a heart for the residents in order to help those that need affordable housing. I know I'm passionate about this thing because my heart is here. My heart is here.
And
It's
that's
a
the most
city.
important thing, because with your heart in it, you will do right.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, no one has to guess whether or not why you're running. You definitely have laid out. And the thing about it is this: I love the whole theme that I see is we're talking about servant leaders. We're not
Yes.
talking about a person who is saying, let me get into this to learn how to serve, or let me get into
Mm,
this to learn how to lead. Your life has been a life of service.
yes.
Everything
Yes.
you've done has been about leadership. And you've had leadership without the title
Well,
of an office.
there you go.
And so, and I think that is what matters. There oftentimes we find people that are running for office, but there's no track record of who they are before they ran. There's no track
Mm,
record of what they've done
wow.
before they ran, and definitely that's not the case with you.
Thank you.
Your your imprint, your passion, your service is everywhere, and you felt that everywhere. And with that type of energy, I believe, and with your innovative ideas, I mean, literally, you could literally take part of this uh, interview here, and it becomes your own infomercial,
Wow.
because what you do is
Absolutely.
You laid it out exactly who you are. You laid it out exactly what you want to do, and you address different aspects of the community. And I applaud you. I commend you. I think that, listen, Lauderdale Lakes have the opportunity to do something great.
Great.
And those that are
Yes.
listening, follow the spirit. And if you follow the spirit, I think that you'll vote for Sharon Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And, Florida is surrounded by seniors, and
Mm,
this is who she serves. She
yes.
serves the masses, but
Right.
her heart and passion is for the
Mhm.
seniors.
Yes.
And the seniors are the ones who have the most sense.
Yeah.
They're the one. Believe it or not, when I moved here, they were the eyes and the ears of the community.
Absolutely.
When I left
They
out in
kept
the
order.
morning, yeah, there was a lady that opened her window. I'm saying, why is she open? But she was looking out for me. And that's what I'm hoping to bring back as well. Citizen patrol and,
Yes.
neighborhood watch in order to feel safe within, because a lot has happened within the community.
But I heard you say something that's so vitally important, though, is that
Mhm.
not only is your heart for the seniors, but you talked about about how the community is changing. You talked about the millennials that are coming in,
Yes,
and the Z's that are coming
yes,
along, and the way to be able to, if you would, to be able to bring these groups in together, and everyone
together.
recognizing that they can play a part. That is
Yes.
what is the solution for a healthy, sustainable community.
Mm,
Because when we get
mm,
young people to understand the role that they can play, and they can learn by watching those
yes,
before them. Like you talk about reflecting back on those seniors when you came into that neighborhood.
right.
Those seniors there, they had history on their side. They had experience on their side. They
Mm,
knew what had happened before, so they could appreciate that and they moved forward. But it made an impression on you. It made it was imparted into you. And that if there's ever a thing I honestly believe in this day is that we must find a way to always know how to pass the baton, but
Yes.
involve being able to groom the next generation because there is no success without a successor.
without,
You have to
yes, very
groom
true.
that, and I
Very
applaud you
true.
in your vision.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now, how can individuals support you?
Well, I tell them I've been praying for people on the canvassing as there's a need there. So prayer is key. Pray, but also I solicit donation. My website is Sharon SharonP Thomas THOMAS.com, and you can go there and see and make a donation, as well as um, my platform. I have different ones. As I spoke to we were talking earlier, and we did a TikTok this past weekend.
Oh, okay.
Multi-generation, a 10-year-old put it all together, and it was just so exhilarating to watch the seniors come along and join in. That collaboration, to listen, but also to be engaging and be a part of. So I'm on social media, but your donations, is because it's crunch time, and early voting starts on the 24th, which is Monday
Oh,
coming up. Monday. So if you're able to volunteer, donate, there's a portion there of helping. We're putting that schedule together to come out and help and allow Sharon Thomas to be your next servant leader in the city of Lauderdale Lakes, seat number 2.
thank
Absolutely.
you so much. We appreciate
Yeah.
you
Thank
joining and sharing who you are. We look forward to seeing you in that seat.
Thank you so much. And thank
Absolutely.
you, Dr. Thickling and Dr. Valerie, for inviting me. God bless.
God
God
bless
bless.
you too.
Well, very informative show. Very powerful. Wow. My.
Absolutely. We have some powerful women that will shake this community up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I'm so
I
excited.
thoroughly
You
enjoyed.
know, The election is the actual election is November 8th, and there's
Right.
early voting, and we want individuals to go to the polls and vote. You know, there was a thing called souls to the polls. Well,
Yes,
we need you to get to those polls and vote, because guess what? Somebody is going to win.
absolutely.
Somebody's going to win. So we want that individual that you want in that seat to win, and support the candidates that you
Absolutely.
want to see in office. And even if they don't win this time, they can run again if you support them and start building that bridge to connect them so that they can serve in the community. They're already serving and doing for the
Absolutely.
community.
And they're
So
very
why not
strong. Yes.
empower and strengthen their hands so that they can do more? You can always do more. We can always do more. You know, I know I work behind the scenes all the time. I'm not that person that likes being out there, even though I am out there. I like being in the background. I'll do what I have to do. If you ask me to do it, I'll do it. But I'm already working. The Soul of a Woman Foundation is for domestic violence and children in single family
Yes.
homes.
Yes.
And you have your nonprofit,
Yeah.
Dr. J Destiny by Choice, which is also for
Absolutely.
domestic violence. In October is
Hmm.
Domestic Violence Month, and we're busy. You know, domestic violence doesn't take a holiday.
It
Uh,
doesn't. Not at all.
it's also Cancer Awareness Month, but
Yeah,
you
definitely Breast
know,
Cancer Awareness Month. Yes.
yes. And you know, one of the things I like to do is keep the public informed so that they can be strengthened. You information will keep you empowered and keep you going to the next level. You know, you ask for help not because you're weak, but so that you can remain strong. And we have people that are running for seats that will help you, that you can actually reach out, call them. They have businesses they're already doing, so you can
Yes.
support those businesses. You know, you need an attorney. Commissioner Grant works for a law office. You need housing or financial independence. Sabrina Butler is running for candidacy. You need to put your seniors somewhere, because they can no longer care for themselves. Sharon Thomas is running, and she has a facility to accommodate that. So all
Right.
these are three powerful women that are doing amazing things to serve the community. And, you know, we need to strengthen and support them to do the work that they are purposed to do. I
Yes.
believe they're running because it is their purpose to do so. And want to encourage you all to continue to tune into Hot Topics from the Soul. And don't forget to subscribe to Hot Topics from the Soul on YouTube. YouTube's Hot Topics from the Soul. And you can reach out to us on my website, from the soulofawoman.com. And Dr. J's website is jrthicklin.com. You can reach him that way. You see, he's a prolific speaker, and he can get charged up at any time. But this is who he is. And I've been with him as friends for over 35 years.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was a baby when we met.
Definitely right. Time has flown. Our days are now grown.
But I appreciate you always standing by my
Absolutely.
side and supporting and being my co-host for these last few years, and you know, getting information to
Amazing.
empower
Amazing.
the community so that they can stay strong.
Absolutely. And I have to applaud you because always persistent, and when you're that way, you connect with people like the wonderful women that we had on tonight. I'm just speechless because of the fact these aren't people who's new to it. They're true to it. And that's the
Yes,
thing I love about it. You could tell it in their passion and
extraordinary.
yeah, extraordinary women. And we look forward to being able to support them in whatever way we can and getting the word out. And we hoping that we can have them back, on a victory lap. So we trust them to do
Absolutely.
that.
So get to the polls and vote. Somebody's going to win. May as well be the candidate you want.
Absolutely.
Good night and God bless. And thank you for joining us on another Hot Topics from the Soul.
Good night.